Picture a world lit by kerosene, powered by ambition, and dominated by one man's unrelenting vision. In the late 19th century, a single name became synonymous with wealth, power, and control: John D. Rockefeller. His creation, Standard Oil, wasn't just a company. It was an empire that reshaped the global oil industry and redefined what a business could be. This is the story of the Rockefeller oil empire, a saga of ruthless strategy, monopolistic dominance, and a legacy that still fuels the world today. Our story begins in 1839 in upstate New York, where John Davison Rockefeller was born to a modest family. A disciplined, devout Baptist, young John learned early to keep meticulous ledgers and save every penny. By 16, he was a bookkeeper, his sharp mind already calculating bigger dreams. In the 1860s, a new industry was emerging. Oil, discovered in Pennsylvania's muddy fields. Crude oil promised to light homes and power progress. Rockefeller saw opportunity not in drilling, but in refining, turning black sludge into usable kerosene. In 1863, at age 24, he co-founded his first refinery in Cleveland, Ohio, with partners Morris Clark and Samuel Andrews. Cleveland's rail connections and proximity to oil fields made it perfect. But Rockefeller wasn't content with small stakes. By 1865, he bought out his partners, taking full control. His mantra: efficiency. He reinvested profits, slashed costs, and built barrels in-house to save pennies. By 1870, he founded Standard Oil, a name that would soon echo across continents. Rockefeller's genius wasn't in invention, but in organization. At the time, the oil industry was chaotic. Hundreds of small refiners competed, driving prices into a tailspin. Rockefeller hated waste. He believed consolidation was the path to stability. In 1872, he launched what became known as the Cleveland Massacre. Using Standard Oil's size, he negotiated secret railroad rebates, slashing shipping costs. Smaller refiners, unable to compete, faced a grim choice: sell to Standard or go bankrupt. Within months, Standard Oil absorbed 22 of Cleveland's 26 refineries. By 1879, it controlled 90% of America's refining capacity. Rockefeller didn't just compete, he eliminated competition. His methods were brutal, but effective. He undercut prices to crush rivals, then raised them once they were gone. He used spies to track competitors' shipments and pressured suppliers to shun them. Standard Oil became a machine, producing kerosene cheaper and faster than anyone else. The key to Rockefeller's empire was the Standard Oil Trust, formed in 1882, to skirt laws limiting corporate ownership across state lines. Rockefeller and his lawyers created a new structure. Shareholders of dozens of regional companies transferred their stock to a single board of trustees, with Rockefeller at the helm. This trust controlled refineries, pipelines, and distribution from New York to California. It was a legal masterpiece, centralizing power while dodging scrutiny. By the 1880s, Standard Oil set prices, dictated supply, and even influenced global markets. Kerosene lit homes worldwide, and Rockefeller's wealth soared. He became America's first billionaire, his fortune equivalent to $400 billion today. But with power came resentment. Farmers, small businesses, and rival oilmen called Standard a monster, accusing it of strangling free markets. Newspapers dubbed Rockefeller a robber baron, a tycoon who built his empire on greed. The public's anger wasn't baseless. Standard's tactics were predatory. It forced railroads to pay rebates not just on its own shipments, but on competitors too, effectively taxing rivals. It bought up pipelines, locking out independent producers. When rivals built new pipelines, Standard used its market muscle to deny them customers. Rockefeller justified this as progress, saying, "The day of combination is here to stay. Individualism has gone, never to return." But to many, Standard Oil was a monopoly that crushed the American dream. By the late 1880s, whispers of reform grew louder. States like Ohio sued Standard for anti-competitive practices. though early lawsuits faltered against its legal army. The turning point came with a new era of journalism. In 1902, muckraker Ida Tarbell published a 19-part in McClure's magazine, peeling back Standard Oil's curtain. Tarbell, whose father had been a small refiner ruined by Rockefeller, didn't just attack, she dissected. Her meticulous research revealed secret deals, railroad collusion, and predatory pricing. She painted Rockefeller not as a genius, but as a bully. Her series captivated the nation, turning public opinion against Standard. Tarbell's work wasn't just journalism, it was a call to action. Politicians seeking votes took notice. The Progressive Era, with its push for reform, gave them ammunition. In 1906, President Theodore Roosevelt's administration filed a federal lawsuit under the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, which banned monopolies that restrained trade. The case accused Standard Oil of conspiring to control the oil industry. Rockefeller, now semi-retired, watched as his empire faced its greatest threat. The trial, spanning 1906 to 1909, was a spectacle. Prosecutors presented 1,400 pages of evidence, detailing Standard's web of control. Rockefeller testified, calm but evasive, claiming his business was fair competition. The public wasn't buying it. In 1911, the U.S. Supreme Court delivered its verdict. Standard Oil was an illegal monopoly. The court ordered its breakup into 34 independent companies, including future giants like Exxon, Mobil, and Chevron. Rockefeller's trust was shattered, and the era of unchecked monopolies seemed over. But the breakup wasn't the end of Rockefeller's influence. He held stock in all 34 companies, and their combined value skyrocketed post-dissolution as oil demand surged with the rise of automobiles. Rockefeller's wealth grew even larger, and the successor companies known as baby standards remained dominant players. ExxonMobil, Chevron, and others trace their roots to Standard Oil, controlling vast swaths of today's energy market. The breakup, meant to curb power, ironically made Rockefeller richer and ensured his legacy endured. Rockefeller himself pivoted to philanthropy, giving away over $500 million in his lifetime, billions in today's dollars. He funded universities, medical research, and the Rockefeller Foundation, which still shapes global health and education. His giving softened his image, but critics argued it was atonement for a career built on ruthless tactics. Rockefeller died in 1937 at 97, leaving a complex legacy, a man who built an empire, reshaped an industry, and sparked the antitrust laws that still govern business today. The impact of Standard Oil ripples through history. It pioneered corporate efficiency, from vertical integration to economies of scale, setting a blueprint for modern conglomerates. Its pipeline networks laid the groundwork for today's energy infrastructure. The antitrust breakup inspired laws that broke up AT&T and challenged Microsoft, ensuring no single company could dominate as Standard did. Yet, the oil industry remains concentrated, with a handful of giants wielding outsized influence. In 2023, ExxonMobil and Chevron reported combined revenues of over $600 billion, proof that Rockefeller's shadow looms large. The Rockefeller oil empire wasn't just about oil, it was about power. John D. Rockefeller showed how one man's vision could bend markets, rewrite rules, and ignite debates about capitalism itself. His monopolistic practices sparked reforms that protect competition today. Yet his successor companies still fuel the world. As you fill your car or flick on a light, remember, the oil flowing through our lives began with a man who saw chaos and built an empire. Standard Oil may be gone, but its legacy burns on, as enduring as the resource it harnessed. This is the story of ambition, control, and the cost of dominance, the spark that still lights the world.